Hey guys, it's Johnny FD and I'm at the Dublin airport. Just got done with 10 days of walking across Ireland with only my carry-on luggage. Let me show you what is inside. Alright, so before we actually begin, I put in my headphones so you can hear me. I know it's a little bit loud here. The reason why I'm making this video is even though I made a video showing you what I packed to come to Ireland, especially to do this walk the Wickow Way, and also just to travel Ireland in general, the packing videos on YouTube are good, but that is all theoretical on what we think we might need. What's really, really important, what will help you prepare for your trip to either walk across Ireland or backpack across Europe or wherever you want to go, is the actual post-trip video where we figured out what actually we needed, what we got rid of, what we wish we didn't bring along with us, and the actual experience of packing. So my bag today only weighed 7.7 kilos, which is, if you multiply into pounds, I think it's 2.2, so something like 15 pounds, something like a really light pack now. But before I went, that bag weighed over 10 kilos, I think it was 10 or 12 kilos, and for pound wise, it was over 20 pounds. And it made a big difference when I was walking and carrying the pack, especially on the hike, on the trek. If you haven't seen my Wickow Way video, check it out here on YouTube. It was 8 days of walking with our backpacks across Ireland and hiking, so you're going uphill and all that. So let's start with what I'm actually wearing and what I've thrown away. So t-shirt, these long trekking pants, and my boots are on me, and the rest are in this bag. So just starting with the bag itself, this is a 40-liter bag, and as you can see, it's not that full right now. I can actually fit a lot more in there. I'm really glad I bought this bag. It's the perfect size. I think you can get away with 35, and if you're ultralight, maybe a 30-liter, but there's no reason not to have a 40-liter because you could just leave it slightly empty and you'll be fine. What I'm actually wearing and stick off is this North Face kind of fleece jacket. What I really like about it is that it is fleece inside, so it keeps you warm. The outside, it's like a soft shell almost, and it's actually decently water resistant. So as long as it's not raining for more than, if you just walk around the city and it's not raining that much, you can actually just wear this. But this is actually one of the items I actually thought about throwing away. That's right, I disliked carrying this jacket so much. I actually thought about giving away this brand new North Face jacket that cost me about $100. It doesn't weigh that much, it's not that big, but it was just too hot to wear on the hike. People always tell you to layer, and the reason why they tell you to layer is because even if you're wearing a t-shirt and you put on this jacket, all of a sudden you go from really cold to really hot, and as you sweat and as you walk, it gets hotter and hotter. So this jacket was actually completely useless during the hike, even though it was only 13 degrees out, which is something like 50 Celsius. So it was pretty cold out, but because you're hiking and you're walking, you're sweating, it was actually too hot to wear. The only times it actually was very handy is when I went out in Dublin. So if you are not hiking and you're just walking around the city, it was fine. And surprisingly, the kind of water resistance on it was good enough where I was walking in a light rain around Dublin, which it rains all the time here, and it was enough. I had the hood on and I was perfectly comfortable just walking around, and it was just warm enough where I could walk around. But for the hike itself, I would not have brought this. I would have instead brought a light sweater, maybe a wool sweater to keep you warm even when it's wet, or even just like a light fleece. And people don't realize this, but ounces or grams really matter when you're hiking and you have this pack on your back. This weighs at least half a kilo, so it's at least 1 or 2 pounds, and it adds up, especially if you're not using it. Other thing that you'd be really surprised that I actually wanted to throw away was this Nalgene water bottle. This holds 1 liter of water, and I love it. I love the quality of it. It's brand new, as you can see. I actually need to take this off. And when I'm just going to the gym or going to a co-working space or just traveling on a plane, it's great. I love it. It's refillable, it's strong, it's durable. I love this lid. Everything's perfect about it. But you'd be surprised that when this is empty, this adds so much weight. I don't know how much it weighs when it's empty, but it's something like, I don't know, a quarter of a pound, or at least a few ounces. and it adds up. I was thinking like, God, this is heavy. Why am I carrying this? When instead I had an empty 1 liter Coca-Cola bottle that weighed like less than an ounce, and it was perfectly fine. All right, so you might think I'm nitpicking with these bottles, but if you've never been on a through hike where you're literally carrying everything on your back for, you know, even a few days, going uphill or hiking, the ounces or the grams really, really matter. They really, really add up. So sorry Nalgene, you are great for normal life, but not for camping. Instead, use a high quality plastic bottle, either a 1 liter Coke bottle or like a smart water bottle. And that's why when you watch videos of people through hiking, especially like places like the Appalachian Trail, they're always using like a smart water bottle because it has a good quality lid, but it's so light. And I guarantee you these things really add up. So bring 2 1 liter plastic bottles that weigh close to nothing. And surprisingly, the Coke one, I actually really liked. As much as I washed it, it always tasted a little tiny bit like Coca-Cola still. And it was really refreshing when you're on the trail and you're hot to have some kind of like a little tiny bit of flavor in your water, even though you're not getting any like calories or sugar from it. So next on was the actual shirts. You can see the labels are coming off of this. So that's only downside to these cheap Kucha shirts, but can you believe this was only €3, which means it's $3.30 from Decathlon, which is my favorite store. And I basically had 2 of these and a North Face one, and they all worked the same. The North Face is better quality, so my other version of this that I've had just for a few more weeks, it already is kind of like fading color and kind of just it's almost dead. But the North Face one is standing up for the test of time. So if you want to spend $20, $25 on the North Face, it'll last you longer, but they work the same. Both quick dry, both very airy, and I love these shirts. So I brought 3 of these, and it was a perfect amount. I probably actually could have gotten away with 2 and just washed them more often because they dry so quickly. Like, they just dry overnight without even putting it out in the sun. You can just leave it in whatever room you're staying in. But 3 was nice because you don't have to do laundry as much, and they don't weigh that much at all. They're really, really light.
Okay, so what was in the rest of the bag, and what did I end up actually getting rid of? So right here, I have my dirty laundry. I forgot to bring a bag for that, so make sure you bring just a cheap plastic bag for that. The backpack was great. This rain cover came in vitally. Unfortunately, because this is a 30 to 40 liter, when it was completely full, it actually would not cover the whole top. It would almost kind of miss a little bit of the top. So make sure you either get a proper fitted rain cover or just make sure it's not completely full. But it managed to keep every single thing dry. And actually, this bag I actually used to wrap in my MacBook during the walk. So when it rained, it wouldn't get wet. And MacBook works fine, even though I walked in the rain for 6 hours one day. That was a combination from the rain cover, the backpack itself, kind of having this double layer over we actually put the MacBook into, as well as the plastic bag. So highly recommended. This is the lightest MacBook that makes, MacBook Air, and it only weighs about 2 pounds, but obviously it's still pretty significantly heavy if you don't need to work while you are traveling and you're not a digital nomad, or you don't need to conduct like podcasts interview like I did. I wouldn't bring a laptop because you can do 99% of everything you need to do, especially during the walk, on your phone. I'm using an iPhone 7 Plus right now to record. This is where I took all my photos. If you watch the Wickow Way video, which is a 37-minute video that I created throughout the entire journey, that was actually both filmed and edited on this camera, so I really didn't even need to bring my MacBook at all. Obviously, it came in handy when I wanted to reply to emails or record podcast interviews, but if you don't need to bring that, you shave off a lot of weight. So if you have everything set up where your businesses are completely passive, don't bring your laptop. Just bring your phone. It's good enough. But it's also nice to have some
online income. So I hope you guys have kind of a mixture of both. I don't like writing emails on my phone, even though it's possible, but it's kind of the trade-off. And the MacBook Air, at least, is pretty light. Just don't bring some heavy laptop. Chromebook or MacBook Air, well, I guess the new, smaller MacBooks are light. That's about it.
So in this green bag, I have my toiletry kit, which was fine. And what I really like about having these packing cubes is you can take things out. So this is just a waterproof bag liner. So I put all my clothes in there. And then in here I had all my, electronics and my toiletry kit, my microphone, all that stuff. What I really like is when you get to the hostel or you get to your bed and breakfast, you can just pull these out and the bag can be empty. You can just have all your clothes in one, all your stuff in one, your dirty clothes in one, and it makes it so much easier to unpack and repack again. So I highly recommend both these bags as well as these packing cubes. So I brought these two jackets. This one is the super thin North Face one, and then this was the Marmont, which is the super waterproof one. It was actually the perfect combination to have both, because this thin one here was perfect because it was very breathable, but it was wind and water resistant. So I ended up wearing a t-shirt or a long sleeve quick dry t-shirt, which is basically exactly what I'm wearing now, but just long sleeves made by North Face, during most of the trip with this jacket. And this jacket is very, very light, as you can see, but it was water resistant up to about 20 or 30 minutes of rain at a time. And in Ireland, most of the time it doesn't rain for more than that amount of time anyways. It rains for like 10 minutes every hour, so that was actually perfect. But the reason why I'm really happy I brought this thicker Marmont one is because when it would rain for a longer period of time, like that one day we had 6 hours of rain, I would put that over this one, and it would actually create like a double waterproofing where it kept me dry and warm at the same time. I never actually wore this jacket at all while hiking. It was just too hot, even on the coldest days when it was 13 degrees out or like 50 degrees out and windy. It was actually better to wear these two because as long as the wind is not getting to you and you're sweating inside, it keeps you warm. Another thing that was really helpful with these buffs, I actually accidentally lost the other one, so maybe it's actually a good idea to have two, especially because they're so light. This worked really, really well as a wind cover for my face, as well as a scarf, and also to cover my ears, almost kind of like earmuffs as well. And since they're so lightweight, there's no reason not to have two of these. My other really favorite thing was this dry fit cap. I wore this all the time. I never ended up wearing sunglasses at all. This is very lightweight. It's called the Feather Light series. It's very quick dry, and it kept the sun out of my face, as well as the the rain out of my face. So I highly, highly recommend that. And these Luna sandals I really liked because instead of carrying a whole other pair of shoes, I just had my hiking boots and these in the bag. And these were a kind of lifesaver when I would be so tired from wearing these boots all day and I wanted to change into something more comfortable just to go down to the pub or walk around the bed and breakfast. And in a pinch, I probably could have done some of the hike in this if I really, really needed to, even though my feet would have been freezing, it would have been slippery. But as an emergency backup for being very lightweight and small, I think these were absolutely perfect. I would recommend these over anything. These are the Luna Monos. So a couple things I didn't end up using with these accessories: this emergency blanket, and this compass, and this flashlight. But I don't regret bringing them because I almost had to use all three. If you watch my Wickow Way video on the first day, we went off trail and we almost got lost. And sometimes we weren't back into town until 7 or 8 p.m. So there was actually a very good chance we would have needed a flashlight besides one on my phone or a compass to get out, because if you stay on trail you'll be fine, but even us, we accidentally went off trail. That could have been a bit of a lifesaver, as well as this emergency blanket that could have really helped us out if we had to sleep in the woods that night somehow. The one thing that I really wish I didn't have to bring was these chargers. You notice this is an American MacBook, and I wish I just had that adapter. It would have been lot easier. This is another reason not to bring a laptop if you don't have to, is because you have to also factor the weight of those chargers. I only had this EU adapter, which I was using, in Spain, but I didn't realize that in Ireland, because it's part of the UK, they use this. So I had to adapt all three and carry 3 times the amount of weight and room just to be able to charge my laptop. So that, I guess that's the way it is.
So if you guys remember my previous video where I showed you what I packed, you'll notice that all the food is gone. It was actually the exact perfect amount to last us the last day. But remember, there was 3 people eating it. So what I wish I would have done instead was made other people just buy their own food and not shared, because then I was the one carrying all 3 people's food and snacks for all 3 days, and it was really heavy. I probably could actually gotten away with a little bit less. I think I actually ended up eating a lot more of the snacks just to get rid of the weight. And to be honest, like, we would pour out water knowing that it would save us half a pound, because 1 liter of water is 1 kilo, which is 2 pounds, and it really, really adds up. So kind of throughout the day, if I knew that we were going to survive without, like it wasn't too hot of a day, or we're going to survive and get into town before the water ran out, I would actually pour out sometimes half the bottle just to save that weight. And if you guys haven't been on a Thru-Hike, I promise you, just a few ounces really, really makes a big difference. And that is why I ended up throwing away things or giving away things like my pack of playing cards that you guys remember from that first video, as well as that little sleeping bag that weighed less than half of a pound, which is 8 ounces or 500 grams or something like that. And it would have weighed about 1 pound, so it's about 500 grams. And I never ended up using it. The only reason why I brought it was because we didn't pre-book our accommodations, and we were not sure if we would have to share rooms or sleep somewhere random. So I brought that just in case. I don't regret bringing it, but I regret not giving it away sooner. And it was only €7, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I never needed it. So as long as you follow my guide on johnnyft.com about the Wickow Way, or wherever you go, and you pre-plan where you're gonna stay, you don't need to bring it at all. So aside from that, I don't remember actually giving away that much more. So I got rid of the food. I got rid of some of the water, and I got rid of the playing cards. But everything else is pretty much what I have ended up with. And it was all pretty much all perfect. I had 4 pairs of socks, which was perfect because I didn't feel like doing laundry every single day. I could have gotten away with 3 if you don't mind doing laundry a little bit more often. The 2 pairs of the quick dry underwear was perfect as well. The amount of clothes was perfect, except for that jacket. I would have swapped that out for something a bit lighter weight, and just wore like layers of all 3 jackets. And that's pretty much it. I think everything else was pretty spot on. So if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch my packing for the Wickow Way video, because that gives you all the details. And I'm gonna take off because I gotta put on my jacket because it's getting cold and the plane's gonna be taking off soon. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, subscribe to the channel, follow johnnyft.com. And if you haven't seen the entire video for the Wickow Way, please watch it. It took me 10 days to film and edit. It was a lot of content, but it really shows you what the walk was like. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I almost forgot to mention the shoes. These are the Creature, I think, Apres 100s, and these were perfect for $35. These were the most comfortable hiking boots I've ever worn in my life. Probably the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my life. They are 2 sizes bigger than what I normally wear, and they were perfect for going downhill. My front never touched. I never got any like random blisters or hot spots anywhere, except right down here in the middle. So I don't know if this was like a little bit thin, or I've been kind of wearing it out a bit, or because the shoe was bigger than it's supposed to be. But in general, these shoes were fantastic. These are only rated for 2 hours of waterproofing, which meant on the day where we had a 6-hour rain, they were completely wet, and I had to try to dry them out overnight, and unfortunately they didn't dry completely overnight, even though we had left them, in a semi
warm room. I wish I would have put newspapers inside to dry them out more, or maybe opted for the higher model that had more waterproofing. But to be honest, these were perfect. They were comfortable. They didn't get wet when stepping in small puddles, and it was only really that one day where there was 6 hours of rain that they really got soaked. But your whole body gets soaked anyways, so it's almost not that big of a deal. You can tell that they're holding up pretty well still, like the treads, everything. And I was really walking over some crazy, rocks and everything. So big shout out to Mamont, to Quicha and Decathlon for making these great shoes. And the best thing about them was probably the fact that they were slightly breathable. I think the more waterproofing that you get, the less breathable they are. And the socks were perfect with them. So overall, shoes, highly recommended. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.